giving the Attack plenty to celebrate. It wasn't what the Crunch expected, and heads were hanging low. But if they don't pick themselves up off the turf, Kansas City will hop, skip, and jump to high-five heaven. As the NPSL balls of fire on the deuce. From Kansas City's Kemper Arena, it's Game 2 of the NPSL Finals. The American Division's Cleveland Crunch takes on the National Division's Kansas City Attack. Hi, everybody. I'm Ed Visnick. Welcome into Game 2. And if Game 2 comes anywhere close to living up to the entertainment value of Game 1, we're in for another great evening of soccer. There's the final tally, 28-18. Spectacular goals all over the place. Kansas City goes on a 13-0 run in the third quarter, and they put up the big victory to take a 1-0 lead in the series. My broadcast partner is Art Kramer, and Art, Kansas City really came out and showed what they're all about in Game 1.
Well, they showed us great team speed. They are absolutely lightning fast up front. As they consistently ran past the Cleveland defenders all night long, and we just saw some great finishes on the part of the Kansas City players in Game 1. Now, they also did it with some great skill, and here you're going to see a great goal. Eloy Salgado setting up Goran Hunyak with a beautiful goal that really broke the backs of Cleveland in the third quarter. But, Ed, the big story of the night for Kansas City was the play of Brian Lofton. Lofton scored a playoff record 12 points for Kansas City. You see 4 of his goals right here, and he was absolutely outstanding in Game 1.
Now, the Cleveland Crunch has never really been known as a defensive team, although they did lower their points against in 1995-96. But in Game 1, they were really all over the place.
Well, offensively is never a problem for Cleveland. They can score points, but defensively it was an absolute nightmare for Cleveland. And to counter that, Coach Bruce Miller is inserting Tim Tima, a guy that's played more playoff games than any other player in league history, into the lineup tonight. But take a look at number 7 in red, Dragicevic, who's a defender for Cleveland, doing a lot of work that you might see a forward do. Watch the Cleveland defenders all on the wrong side of the ball, which led to a lot of breaks for Kansas City.
No changes in the starting lineup for the Crunch. Otto Orff gave up 26 points in Game 1, but he was spectacular. Could have been a lot worse. Oscar Dragicevic and Scott Schweitzer will play defensively. Tommy Tanner and Henry Gutierrez, along with Hector Marinero, the forward line. For the Kansas City Attack, Brett Phillips once again in goal. He's had a spectacular year. He gets Nate Hauser and Jim Schwab defensively. Wes Wade, Goran Hunyak, and Lita Shantret up front. The Game 2 officials, Terry Campbell and Gary Huber on the floor. Terry having a little bit of a chuckle out there, and Ron Corey will be in the box. Bruce Miller, in his first year as head coach, behind the Cleveland bench, led his team to a 31-9 mark. Zoran Savic over on the other side. He's in his 4th season in KC, a 2-time Coach of the Year. There's his record. He won a championship against the St. Crunch in '93. Otto Orff in goal, with 5 victories in the playoffs for the Crunch, and it is showtime here in Kansas City. Game 2, Marinero on the ball, tries to run on past Schwab. There is the NPSL Finals history in Game 1.
Well, better news for Cleveland. The home team only 7-3 in Game 2s, and when Cleveland won the championship a couple years ago, they won Game 2 in St. Louis.
Schweitzer, Tanner on it, played Marinero left footer. He didn't get it all, tried to follow up the shot, but was obstructed by Wes Wade. Long ball from Brett Phillips, and the battle between Dragicevic and DeShantret. Wade joins in the fray. Gutierrez helps it along for the Crunch. Tanner for Marinero. Oh, great ball for Gutierrez. Is sprung behind the defense. Phillips with the stop. Schweitzer got the outside of the right, but missed the target. Great chance for the Crunch.
A good run that time by Gutierrez off the ball, and Hector sent him through in alone, but Phillips comes up with the big first save of the game. And Dragicevic actually had a chance on the rebound, but just shot it wide. You see the initial save on Gutierrez, and then it was Schweitzer coming through and firing the rebound wide.
Now, for those of you, Brett Phillips takes a break, and so will we. Scoreless early on. There's a look at Bruce Miller. He's had a heck of a first season in Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland came to Kansas City at just looking for a split to win one game. They didn't get it done in Game 1, and if they want to secure home field advantage, they need to get one here tonight.
Now, for a while during the regular season, Cleveland was actually looking to break the all-time record for wins in the NPSL, set by the Canton Invaders of 36.
They had a rough stretch in their last 10 games. They went 4-6.
And that gave Kansas City the edge in games 1, 32-31, and that's why the attack has home field advantage through the finals. Tim Tima stepped inside.
Tima gets a start here tonight to try to add a little experience to the Cleveland back line.
It was John Ball, the rookie, who got the start in game 1. Bruce Miller decided he's going to go with more experience. Over and back called against Kansas City. Brian Haynes had a cracker of a goal in game 1. Carriage on Marinero, played in. Miller mishit it, and the ball will spin off the near glass. Helped by the bicycle kick of Brian Haynes. Jeff Rogers on it will play for a streaking Wes Wade, and we've got a blue card. The Crunch has too many men on the floor. Terry Campbell spotted it, and that will give the Kansas City Attack the first power play of the championship series.
Well, Cleveland wants to get men back behind the ball, but that time, one too many men as they sent a sixth man out the bench. And as you said, Kansas City, no shootout, but they will be on the power play here just a minute and a half into this game. And this will actually be the first power play we've seen in the series. There were no shootouts or power plays in game 1. So our first look tonight at Kansas City's power play.
In the playoffs, Kansas City has scored 3 power play goals in 7 tries. The Crunch's penalty killing efficiency at 71%.
Kansas City 42%. Cleveland doing a good job killing them off, second in the NPSL.
Brian Haynes out high. Punyak cross carpet. Haynes had to stretch to collect. Plays a little catch with Chashantret. Ketters slid it in. Look at Salgado. Never connected on the strike, but a nice piece of work to get it in a shooting position.
Kansas City's got a potent power play unit. Haynes, Ketters, and Hunyak in the back with Salgado and Chashantret scrapping around in the box.
Here is Haynes with space. Left footer! Just over the crossbar. The head ball missed wide. That was Salgado. Chashantret cut it sharply. Miller knocked it in for KC. It looked like Doug Miller might have gotten a piece of it trying to clear, but Salgado will get the goal.
And Otto having a little word with Miller about the positioning defensively, but it was some good work by Salgado. He set up Haynes initially, and then Otto with the strike. Salgado missed the first head ball, but then Chashantret plays it off the top wall, and you see Eloy sneak in there with the left toe. And there's another look. Haynes initially let that shot come behind the arc, and then Chashantret, as we said, scrapping around in the box, and it was Salgado who provides the finish in an early 1-0 lead for Kansas City.
Salgado from Chashantret at 2:34. My initial look, it appeared that Doug Miller may have had the ball bounce off him into the Crunch goal, but Salgado did indeed nip in there for his first goal of this NPSL final series.
Well, I talked to Eloy before the series. He didn't know how much he was going to play, and you see Kansas City 4-0 in the playoffs when scoring first. Cleveland scored the first goal in game 1, but Salgado had a great assist in game 1, and now comes up with a big goal to start game 2.
Zoran Karic, who is still just playing on restarts due to an injury to his right knee. Marinero with space. One-timer, Tanner! Just missed near side. Great ball from Marinero. And the 5'8" Tommy Tanner just knotted it wide. He's after the loose ball. It gets played up by Phillips. Wade there to help out for KC.
That's the second great pass we've seen from Marinero. This time setting up Tanner. Before was Gutierrez.
Hauser played into space to Chashantret. Dragicevic. Oscar didn't get much of it. He stepped it and made a strong play on the ball. And a foul will be called against Kansas City.
But right there is what you're talking about, that quickness of Kansas City up front. And watch Chashantret just buzz in there, win the ball, but then commits the foul on Otto.
Orff, who had 2 assists in game 1, tried to play Marinero. Crunch got caught upfield. Schweitzer trying to catch to Shantrick. Haynes is helping to Shantrick on the weak side. But Lee got caught in a double team and couldn't fight his way out.
Good job by Cleveland to get numbers back behind the ball. They made it a 2-on-3 that time. In game one, it was 2-on-1s and 3-on-1s consistently.
Tanner early. Oh, he tried to get it through to Marinero. It's going to be over and back, but John Limniadis got a left foot out that prevented another one-on-one to go for Cleveland.
And Cleveland had 2 restart goals in game one.
Parrish will get another whack at it as the wall wasn't back 50 feet, and Kansas City is saying, hey, he shot the ball. What are you blowing the whistle for?
One thing Kansas City tried to do in game one was to really counter Cleveland off their own restarts. When Zorn shoots that ball directly, you'll see the 2 players in the wall, Rogers and Haynes, take off up the field.
Left-footed drive. Phillips made the stop, and there they go.
You see Rogers.
Carriage got a fortunate bounce off of his back. Here comes Haynes. He's got pace. Tanner. Schweitzer broke it up. Tanner slipped it through the legs of Haynes, and here comes Scott Schweitzer. It's 3v2 for the Crunch. Left side, Marinero, one-time hit. Phillips again with the stop. Brad Phillips with a couple of big-time stops, at least 3 in the first 5 minutes of this game. Tima played in for Gutierrez. Back heels from Marinero, missed connections. Tima slid it in one time. There goes Marinero. He's marked by Carmine. Well, this pace is decidedly slower than the early moments of game one, but that doesn't mean it won't pick up, as there's a long ball to Shantrick behind the defense. Will track it down with team on and play the boards. Nobody was making that weak side run for Kansas City, and Tanner will come away with it.
We saw the long outlet that time by Phillips. Both goalkeepers had 2 assists in game one.
To Shantrick. Out high, Carmine. Carmine has a 3-pointer in these playoffs. A big one in game 5 against St. Louis. Oh, rocket from Schwab, just missed.
And it could save that time from Orb. And we still have yet to see the game one hero. Brian Lofton has not been on the floor in the early going.
Phillips plays long. Well, that's one area that KC might have on Cleveland. They're a little bit deeper. They got guys they can bring off the bench, guys that can play, guys that can fly.
In fact, in the second quarter last night, Zoran Savic went to 3 lines, and that really paid off for him. As you mentioned, they just look like the deeper team all the way around. And Cleveland, with those injuries, the key one to Schmetzer, their captain.
Andy, broken cheekbone, happened in the deciding game of the divisional semifinals with the Buffalo Blizzard. Todd Dusaski, his brother Troy, not dressed tonight. Ball will get knocked back, and pressure from Jeff Rogers. The 19-year-old Todd Dusaski. He came on, actually got a break when Henry Gutierrez broke his foot in the last game of preseason and opened up a spot on the floor, and the 19-year-old stepped in and gained a starting spot in a regular role for Cleveland.
I really think it's to Cleveland's advantage yet to slow things down here in game 2 and try to keep possession of the ball a little bit more than they did in game 1.
There's a steal by Hanser. Miller had 2 goals in game 1. Gutierrez on the loose ball.
Cleveland loves to counter-attack you, but if it's not on to go forward, there's nothing wrong with just holding the ball up and keeping possession, especially on the road, to try to take the crowd out of it.
Henry Gutierrez fouled by Brian Haynes. There's 2 rookies of the year. Last year, Gutierrez. Parrish with the shot blocked. And back a while ago, 7 years ago, Brian Haynes was the NPSL Rookie of the Year.
Haynes did that with the old Atlanta attack, I believe, under Coach Keith Tozer. It was actually Savic who played for Keith Tozer. As a lot of these players you see for Kansas City were players that Tozer brought.
Here's numbers up for Kansas City, and a big tackle by Schweitzer. We're going to take a break and return. Ed Pacific and Art Kramer back in Kansas City. The Crunch may have gotten away with a possible penalty there. Gary Hooper just called a foul. They slide it in for Rogers. That got tipped up and out. Another restart situation for Kansas City.
We mentioned Cleveland had 2 restart goals in game 1. Kansas City had 2 of their own. You know, Cleveland dominated that category during the regular season. Kansas City did a great job in game 1.
Brian Haynes and Kevin Ketters, the options on the ball. Haynes, the left footer.
See the restart chances there.
Haynes with the left foot blocked at the wall. Marinero darts after the rebound. He gets bumped off by Carmine. Now Tanner in the fray with the 25-year-old. Great work by Brett Phillips to prevent an over and back. The crunch coming forward. Hector had trouble but recovered. Here comes Tanner. He'll play back for Marinero. Gutierrez checks to the ball. The backfield pass just off the path of Tanner. Schweitzer went in for the tackle. There's 3-on-1 for Kansas City. Rogers for Haynes across. Dragicevic recovered. Rogers hit the post. There goes Haynes. He scores!
There's only 2 words for this, and team speed, as that was all created by their speed. And you see Haynes come through with a great strike, but Haynes made that break happen with a great burst through the midfield. And then Cleveland running around in their own zone, and Rogers with the initial chance. You see the handball by Dragicevic, but a good no call as Haynes cleans up the rebound.
Look at Brian Haynes, what he's done in the 96 playoffs. 4 3-point goals. He had just 3 during the regular season, and that's through 37 games. Brian locked it on for his first shift for Kansas City. Karich will take the restart. I want to get back to a point on that break by Kansas City when we get a chance, but right now Zorn will tee it up on the far side. There's the whistle. A couple of fakes. He couldn't get his chip across for Marinero, then played it in sharply. Got deflected out to Shantret, was behind the crunch defense, and Wade unable to control the ball. Karich on it. He's got the sleeve on that right knee. Says he has trouble with any move to the inside with his right leg. Marinero. Wade. I was going to say, Art, on that last break where Kansas City scored, it looked like the crunch was going to get out of that momentarily. Marinero, head ball, goal! The ball from Tanner, and Hector Marinero has gotten the crunch on the scoreboard with a 2-pointer. It comes at 9:55, and it's a 3-2 match.
Well, we saw Hector set up a couple players, and this time he's going to show them how to finish. As Gutierrez gave him a nice pass at the back post, and Hector with a head ball goal, but a nice pass that time by Henry. Just out of West Wade's reach, and Hector puts Cleveland on the board.
Feel the heat. Catch balls of fire. Call 1-800-80-KICKS for the only scorching soccer action available on home video. Get ready to smash, crash, and score with balls of fire. No soccer fan can afford to miss this sensational home video. Cheer on the heart-pounding plays, the greatest goals, the wildest kicks, and all the outrageous antics of the game as you've never seen it before. Call 1-800-80-KICKS now for Balls of Fire, the hottest, fastest, and most intense sports video you'll find. Don't miss your chance to experience all the blazing action, cool moves, and explosive entertainment of NPSL soccer. Get Balls of Fire for only $14.95 plus shipping and handling. All major credit cards accepted. This video is available only through this exclusive TV offer. If you like your sports action fast, serious, and fun, call 1-800-80-KICKS now. Balls of Fire. Catch it.
For the best in soccer gear, the official catalog of the NPSL is Eurosport, the fabled soccer traders. 1-800-447-0570 for your gear. Hector Marinero now with 3 2-point goals in the finals.
See Hector wearing the captain's armband. That due to the absence of Andy Schmetzer. And I tell you, they really missed Schmetzer in game 1 because he's a big stabilizer in the midfield. especially when the Cleveland defenders go forward, he rotates back.
Doug Miller's left foot, and Phillips came out to cut down the angle again.
But we consistently saw Cleveland's defenders getting forward in game one, and Spencer's the guy that rotates back and provides cover when guys like Dragicevic and Schweitzer go forward.
No, it's just a bad omen, this Cleveland-Kansas City finals. Back in '93 when these two teams met, Andy was also out of the lineup due to a knee injury. Carriage for Marinello, the right footer, blocked by Phillips again. Brett Phillips has been on the spot numerous times in the first quarter.
Well, that's the second or third time we've seen him make good stops low. Cleveland may be wise to try a few shots up high. See if they can catch Phillips going down a little early.
Marinello this time will take it. Plays Carriage to the left footer. Trickles through. Hanser will play back for Marinello. Immediate pressure from Kansas City. They don't waste any time closing space.
And you mentioned Zoran's injury. He just has trouble striking the ball with his right foot. When he shoots, it'll usually be with his left. And another restart for Cleveland.
Step right! Step right!
Phillips 4 saves. Marinello played the boards. Oh, Carriage just missed from close range.
And a healthy Zoran Carriage does not miss those opportunities. You can tell the lack of playing time the last month of the season doesn't look as sharp as he normally is.
Crunch slowing it down a little bit, as you said, Art. You know, you said they need to possess a little bit more. It's a hard thing for a team like Cleveland to do.
Yeah, it takes discipline to keep possession of the ball. You got forwards that score a lot of points. They want to be direct and go to goal. But on the road, being down a game, it'd be wise to try to run some clock, take the crowd out of it. We didn't see this type of play at all in game one where the goalies were standing on the ball. And we see that typically a lot during the regular season.
Marinello gets bumped off the ball from Carmine. Phillips will play long. This time it's Haynes and Tima. Wade on the loose ball. Tried to shot it, hit Schweitzer. The rebound, Wade again. Got cleared out finally by Schweitzer.
And you see what Tima can do for you right there. Great defensive positioning. Held his ground, blocked the shot.
Tommy Tanner in his 5th year out of North Carolina State. 27-year-old. A lot of pace to Tanner's game.
Well, he really provides the defensive cover when Carriage and Marinello are on the field. You see the first quarter scoring for Cleveland and Kansas City. Both teams relatively even in that aspect. Otto! What a strike by Otto Orff, and that's a three-pointer. And you talk about a goal that can really get a team fired up. Their goalie from just over half line, and I know he surprised you, Ed, but what a bullet. Let's take another look. Orff.
Wow.
Great strike that deflects off Wade. I believe Phillips would have probably stopped that shot, but Wade deflects it in, and look at Otto, an in-step drive, and that's a three-pointer for Cleveland.
A cracker in the Crunch. Takes the lead at 5-3. Orff with a three-pointer. It's game 2 of the NPSL Finals from Kemper Arena. The Crunch with 5 straight points. Otto Orff with a three-pointer as he raised a 3-0 lead for Kansas City. Crunch looking to even the series at 1 game apiece. Gutierrez got bumped by Nate Hauser. And here's a look at the first quarter statistics.
And once again, you take a look at the restart chances. Cleveland's going to have one right here. 0 for 11 for Cleveland on their restarts. The big key for them during the regular season was these restart chances.
Carriage faces a 3-man wall. He got it to Miller, struck it well, but Wade coming out. Carriage got the rebound toward goal. Wasn't much on it. There's the long ball. Rogers will track it down on the bounce. The volley! He hit it near side, and it carried off to Dragicevic. Oscar has had a good playoffs. A key 3-point goal against the Baltimore Spirit in the deciding game in the American Division Finals.
Well, the big story so far tonight, has been the injury to Kansas City's captain, Jim Schwab. And remember, this is Kansas City's 4th game in 5 nights. And that may well be the reason why Schwab pulled that hamstring.
Jason Farrell on the rebound. And we've got a 5-5
pleading with his defenders, but that's a shot that he probably should have stopped. Watch Farrell, a volley from point-blank range. Otto got his hands on it, but too much space for the Cleveland forwards. Watch Cleveland's defenders getting caught ball watching, and Dragicevic couldn't step out quickly enough.
Eloy Salgado got the assist. It came at 1:17. Look out for the Kansas City attack. When they got back into game one, they did it in bunches. Goal comes at 1:17. Tanner in a fight. Near corner of the attack zone. Dragicevic helped out. Carmine will knot it through the midfield. This is Scott Schweitzer. Tanner one time for Gutierrez. Tries to juggle his way around Lofton. Ryan Lofton, very creative in just about everything he does.
Well, you know you have a good team when the guy that scored 5 goals for you in game one doesn't see a shift until 9 minutes into the game. As Kansas City's role players that have done a great job thus far in this series. Farrell, Lofton, Salgado, and Rogers all making big contributions so far in this series.
Scott Schweitzer, second-year player. Marinero tries to turn Carmine. Tanner, he shoots it wide. Is looking at the back stick. Didn't have a great angle on the shot. This is Dragicevic. Coming forward. Left foots it to the far corner. Now another race to the ball.
We mentioned Kansas City's role players. Cleveland, with the absence of Zoran Karic, really needs guys like Chris Hanser and Dasoski to step up and be productive for them in the offensive end.
Schweitzer with space. Here comes Hunyak. Played for Gutierrez, the give and go. He spins in the corner. Tanner on it, a crowd. Far side across. Phillips made the stop.
And Cleveland with 4 men attacking in the box, and this is a 3-on-2 for Kansas City.
Here's Hunyak at the controls. Goran to his left. Walk around a mark. He shoots and scores! Goran Hunyak got an individual run. Kansas City ahead.
And watch again. Now look at Cleveland. This is them attacking in Kansas City zone. 4 red jerseys caught in the box. It leads to a 3-on-2 the other way for Kansas City. And when you got players like Hunyak and Salgado with all that skill, they're going to make you pay. And watch the scoring machine. Goran Hunyak finish it off as Otto had no chance.
Kansas City in the lead.
Play with the soccer ball of the pros, Candace, the official soccer ball of the National Professional Soccer League. Guaranteed for long-lasting high performance. Hand-stitched for superior quality, uniquely designed. Candace, the soccer ball of the pros. Available at soccer specialty stores everywhere. When soccer is the game, Candace is the name. Candace, the official soccer ball of the National Professional Soccer League. Candace for your team or league. A soccer ball that's one kick ahead of all the others.
Enter the Performance Zone with Split-Fire Performance V spark plugs.
If you hit your passing gear, you're gone.
The difference in gas mileage has been fantastic.
Split-Fire Performance V spark plugs mean better performance, more horsepower, and better mileage. So say the experts and the people who use them.
They're the best plugs I ever put in my car.
Enter the Performance Zone only with Split-Fire Performance V's, guaranteed.
Goran Hunyak took it himself on the break and gave Kansas City the lead.
And we talked about defensive shape on the opening, and once again, Cleveland loses their shape defensively. 3-on-2, and Otto with no chance trying to go to cover the man at the far post and left that near side open, but
Tommy Tanner was frozen and know whether to go out and attack the ball, play in between. Here come the crunch. Hanser ran into Jason Farrell. Got back on his own ball. Another numbers up for Kansas City to Shattuck right side. He slows it down. Out high. Farrell just nipped it. And the crunch able to recover after they slowed down that attack. Over and back called against KC. Was touched way up the floor. Crunch with another restart chance. Terrence forces Phillips to come up with another big stop.
Well, Soren's doing all he can to try to finish a restart, but Phillips is right there with every save.
Schweitzer coming forward. Here he comes through a crowd. Miller shoots a handball. I think they got away with it. No, the blue card comes out.
Excellent call that time by Terry Campbell to spot that handball.
Jeff Rogers doing what he needed to do. It's going to be a penalty kick for the Crunch, and it'll be worth 2 points.
Well, Rogers is going to go to the penalty box, but a smart play that time by Rogers because he had no choice but to stick that hand up to keep that shot out. Great play that time by Schweitzer on the run forward. Went right through the middle of the field. Talked about Coach Savick wanting to force people to the outside. That time, Schweitzer right through the middle and made a nice pass to set up that opportunity.
Zoran Savick, mind in motion.
Now, should Cleveland convert this penalty kick, it would be a 2-point goal, and the power play would be over.
Hector Marinero will take it from the penalty spot.
Well, Hector not going to take a very big run at this ball, only a 4-step approach. See if he side foots it or elects to try to drive it with power. You see Phillips is going to try to make himself as large as he can. Will probably try to dive forward on the shot.
Marinero scores. He drilled it underside, and we've got a 7-7 game.
Well, Hector just picked out our ESPN2 banner and went right over the top of that 2.
Marinero with 2 goals.
Take another look. You see, not much the keeper can do, but Hector off that back extension. You see Hector's subpar performance for him, maybe, but certainly not for anyone else, averaging 9 points per game. First 7 games of the playoffs.
Terry Campbell making sure things are set on the scoreboard.
And another look, Hector just a couple steps and drive.
He knows most of the time the goalkeeper is going to pick a side to go to.
And we've seen Phillips make a couple nice saves down low, and Hector elected that time to go up high on Phillips. And now Otto might have come out of the box with that one, but tough call to make there.
Otto doing a little dance to keep that ball inside the penalty area.
Well, it was Otto's reaction that kind of gave him away.
Tanner plays for Schweitzer. Scott Gutierrez Marinero. He's pulled on by Wade. Still got off a shot. The rebound. Phillips again. They'll slide it in front. Gutierrez stopped by Wes Wade.
Great save that time by Wade on the goal line. Some good work by Marinero to create that chance.
Wes Wade with a big defensive series for Kansas City. It's a 7-7 game. Kansas City has had 2 leads. The Crunch won.
And here's another look at that block by Wade. As Marinero was good work to create the chances to set up Gutierrez, but there's Wade bailing out his goalkeeper on that one.
The dummy run by Lofton springs to Shantrin along the boards. He'll turn it back upfield. Wait for a trailing runner. Plays for Lofton. Ran into a charging Dragicevic, and there's Miller against Limniadis. A flying Dragicevic to the ball. Play on, says Gary Huber. Game 3 of the NPSL Finals continues on the Deuce, April 24th, the 12:30 a.m. kickoff from the Convocation.
That is going to be wild in Cleveland because this arena is much bigger than the Convocation Center. And can you imagine getting Orff and Phillips in that building? They're going to be flinging it down the field, and you will see goals galore when we go back to Cleveland.
Midfield? What midfield?
Remember, it was 11-11 at halftime in Game 1, and we're right on that pace here in Game 2.
one meeting these two teams had in Cleveland this season came on February 24th, and KC defeated Cleveland 24-18 in that game. Foul called against Scott Schweitzer. Lofton tasting a little green.
Well, Savic really rotating his lines quickly. He's got 3 line shifts. It's important the players only stay out for no more than a minute.
Ketters tried to play early. He had Salgado at the back, stick over and back called against Cleveland.
You play 3 line shifts and everybody stays on for 2 minutes. You're on for 2 and off for 4. It's hard to stay in the rhythm.
West Wade. Oh, found an opening. Honiak scores. Sweet stuff from KC.
Well, Wade looked like he had one thing in mind, and then he saw Honiak at the back post, stopped his run. And that movement was just enough to make the Cleveland defender bite right there. Freezes him and finds Honiak at the back post.
Wes Wade with his second assist of the game. He had over 70 assists 2 seasons ago, and Goran Honiak bags his second goal of the contest. 4 points for Honiak, the 3rd lead of the game for Kansas City.
You see Otto coming forward again.
Wes Wade just as dangerous from the back as he is if he'd be running up front. Looking to come forward again. No pressure on the ball. Kansas City's defense just all fanned out on a red shirt. Phillips will play quickly as Otto tries to get back in his goal to Shantret. Another nice collection. He's so good at taking the ball down and possessing it with defenders on him in awkward body positions.
He's got a nice first touch on those long outlets. That's something you really need outdoors as well as a target man up front. A lot of long balls played to you. You need that ability to hold the ball up with a good first touch.
Lee actually played some outdoor in Italy before coming back to the NPSL with the Harrisburg Heat. Started his indoor career with the New York Knicks.
A lot of these guys is going to play outdoor. You saw the guy on the ball. Honiak's going to play with Tampa Bay.
Hanser to Miller to pass just a bit out front of Doug Miller. He carries on in front. He missed wide with the right foot. Hanser on in Cleveland turning up the screws a bit here. Todd Dusoski. Chris Hanser, 23-year-old. He's in his rookie season. And Gutierrez. Orf for Henry. Tima with space. He'll look for help. Finds it in the person of Hector Marinero. Coming ahead. Gutierrez the target. Back for Hector. The pass just missed. And here comes Honiak. He's in a race with Carbonero.
And Cleveland cannot lose their discipline defensively. Try to go forward too quickly as you see Tima give the ball away there.
It's a 2v1. Ketters, one of the few we've seen miss-hit by Kevin Ketters. The NBA playoffs upon us. For the latest nightly news on your favorite team, join Stuart Scott and Fred Carter. For NBA Tonight, if you want strategy and breaking news, watch the NBA Tonight Tuesday through Saturday right here on The Deuce.
But Cleveland only down 2 here halfway through the second quarter. Remember, it was a 11-0 run in game 1 by Kansas City that really broke it wide open. You're on the road, you just want to hang around, give yourself a chance at the end of the game.
Schweitzer got a piece of it, but not the full tackle. For Gisevic, a posting Marinero. Strong move from Ed Carmine. Hector was shouldering him off the ball, and a foul called against Gisevic, who ran into Ketters.
And now Cleveland starting to play a little more physical. That's the place to do it in the attacking third of the field. Take another look on the nice defensive plays. Just saw the end of it that time by Carmine on Marinero.
A couple of guys went down there as Dragicevic all over the place.
Take another look at the nice tackle that time by Carmine.
You know, Marinero is only 5'9", 155 pounds, but he is so strong on the ball. Has great balance.
Exact word I was going to say, Ed. The key to that is the balance.
A giveaway by Kansas City. Greg Beach on for his first shift. He'll see more time now with Schwab out of the lineup. Strong move along the boards. Schweitzer took a dive. They say play on. Here's Lofton. Orphan position cleared up by Dragicevic. Marinero doesn't win the race. Won the race, didn't win the ball. Limniadis with the volley. Tipped up over the bar. Here's Gutierrez.
Good strong tackle by Limniadis. And a nice strike, but Otto comes up with the hand save. Now Hector wisely is going to slow things down a little bit.
Hands are behind the volley. Hit it.
Hector's just got great vision. You think he's going to slow it down. He finds that runner over the top of everybody.
Hector's strength among the many is playing a ball into a target and then making the run off. Without Zorn in the lineup, he's got to kind of learn Henry Gutierrez a little bit more.
Well, remember, Kansas City is trying to take away everything through the middle of the field. You see now Kansas City's going to be content with a little bit of low pressure, but Otto can fire.
He tried it again. Otto's made some big save in the series.
And here's the save on Lofton. Lofton once again with that side volley. See here, Otto Orff in game one, 26 points, but he played outstanding. Probably had about 9 or 10 outstanding saves.
Attack really all over the crunch from the third quarter on. They got a key goal with only 2 seconds to play in a quarter to change the tide. Here is Miller, the right foot heel, got it blocked, the rebound missed by Hanser.
And those are the opportunities that Cleveland needs to capitalize on. We mentioned before, their role players, Hanser with a golden opportunity that time, couldn't hit the open target.
Hanser for an overlapping Carbonaro, the right foot. Phillips came out and made the stop. Salgado lost the ball over his yellow line. Dragicevic, he's taken down. Carbonaro cut it wide. But they called a foul out high when Dragicevic got taken down.
And here's the last chance. Miller with the initial shot that Phillips gets his hand on. And look at Hanser at the back post. Just couldn't tuck that one in the near side.
Timeout called on the floor. Brett Phillips will take a breather. His team leads it by 2. Back when the Crunch won the NPSL championship in '94, they had a rough game 1.
You see there, they lost 26-6. Came back in game 2 in St. Louis in a game that was very similar to this, Ed. Very close throughout the first half, and then it was a big shorthanded goal by Andy Schmetzer to break that game open for Cleveland.
Marinero. Karich slid it in. Gutierrez tried to cut it, didn't get enough angle to goal. Miller plays back to safety, and the Crunch will re-rack.
I like what Cleveland's doing here, trying to take the pace out of the game. They're not a team that's used to playing from behind. You said that they could become impatient.
Turn around by Marinero. He struck it well. The outlet, Ketters and Carbonaro to race. Oh, Carbonaro got a foot in there to make the tackle. Big stop from Glenn Carbonaro.
Yeah, outstanding defensive play. The crowd thought it was a foul, but Carbonaro timed that challenge perfectly.
Tanner couldn't get enough on that pass. He had Gutierrez way behind the defense. Here is to Shantred. The ball stopped. The rebound was Lofton, and he didn't get it all.
You talk about lightning. Lofton covered about 10 yards in half a second.
Gutierrez against Carmine. Played Marinero, the one-time strike, kicked out by Phillips. He has been spectacular.
And watch the poke tackle by Carbonaro, beautifully timed. Right as Ketters is going to strike it, Carbonaro just sticks that left foot in, and then a great strike at the other end by Marinero as he was set up by Gutierrez.
But still looking. Marinero scores! The combination of Karich and Marinero on a restart, and we're tied again.
Well, this one has been back and forth so far, and it's a restart goal, the first on the evening for Cleveland. And who else? Carriage to Marinero, and Marinero just curls that ball lovely into the upper corner. Watch him use Wade as a screen and places that ball perfectly into the side netting.
Marinero's 6th hat trick in 10 playoff games.
Well, we talked about the job Kansas City did on Hector in game 1, shutting him down with only 2 goals.
Here's numbers for KC, the pass from Hunyak and missed Rogers. Limniadis stepped in, lost the ball. Gutierrez plays early. Marinero in a race to goal. Here he comes. Phillips made the stop again.
I'm sure one thing Zoran Savic is going to tell his team at halftime is to keep better possession of the ball.
Schweitzer. Oh, great feed. Marinero again. He ran off far side. Still on the ball with space, but no help.
Cleveland has really controlled the pace here in the last 5-6 minutes of this half.
Backheel to Hanser. Limniadis again. He's had a strong defensive game. Hunyak played for Rogers. Ahead to Farrell. Delayed card. Here comes Farrell. Schweitzer made the tackle, and we've got a penalty against Scott Schweitzer, and I think that's Jeff Rogers.
And I love that call, Ed. I love the delayed penalty. When you have a break offensively and there's a foul, a 2-minute foul, I love it when the referee allows play to continue until the defending team touches the ball, a lot like hockey. And that time, Rogers was dumped along the boards by Schweitzer, and we're going to see our first shootouts in the NPSL final series.
2 minutes for boarding.
And here it is again. You see the initial break. Hunyak knocks it forward to Rogers along the boards. And then Schweitzer just comes in and
Cleans him.
yeah, he did. There was a foul that he felt he had to take.
Eloy Salgado was 16 of 24 on shootouts during the regular season, most of them with Milwaukee and Chicago. 5 seconds to score, it's worth a point. The touch, she curled it in! Eloy Salgado's 2nd goal of the game. Kansas City with their 4th lead.
And once again, nothing fancy by Eloy, just one touch and then side foot over the shoulder of Otto. Otto did a nice job of coming out, but Eloy, as so many forwards around the league do now, like to go over that goalie's shoulder. And Eloy shows you how to do it.
Salgado with a pair of 1-point goals and an assist on the night. Haynes drills it from the restart. Orff has thrown himself in front of many Rockets tonight in a lot of crowds. A timeout called by the Cleveland Crunch. They trail it by 1 late in the first half of game 2. Due to time constraints, we'll jump ahead in the action between the Crunch and the Attack in game 2 of the NPSL Finals. We're back at Kemp Arena. It's halftime, and the Kansas City Attack lead this one 10-9. Game 1's halftime score was 11 apiece. There's the stats, and without a doubt, the key one, Art, is Brett Phillips.
Yeah, he's been outstanding in the first half. 17 saves for the Kansas City netminder. Take a look at the fouls, 9-8. In game 1 of this series, Kansas City did a great job committing only 12 fouls. And one way to keep Carriage off the field is to not give him restart chances, but Zoran Carriage is going to come out and start the second half playing a regular shift. So Zoran, feeling that this game right now is on the line, is going to try to play a regular shift here to start the second half.
And we're underway. Showtime in the second half. Remember a couple of things here. Jim Schwab injured a hamstring for Kansas City late in the first quarter. That's why Wes Wade is playing back defensively. The other thing is, in game 1, there was an NPSL record of 20 points scored between the two teams, and Kansas City had 13 of those 20, and that was the game. There's Goran Hunyak's left foot. It got blocked by Carbonera, and here comes Marinero with a hat trick tonight. Too bit of a weighty touch. It'll play upfield, and Marinero back on it after some good work Doug Miller.
We talked earlier about when Cleveland beat St. Louis 3 years ago in Game 2. It was a big shorthanded goal that really inspired them in the third quarter.
Penalty on Scott Schweitzer for boarding Jeff Rogers. KC scored on the shootout. Schweitzer just out of the box, and he got a touch on it mighty quickly. Told you in the first half that Wes Wade had 2 assists in the game. He's got 1.
And now Kansas City going to keep a little possession. One thing that Zoran Savic felt they didn't do all that well in Game 1. He was pleased with the goal-scoring output, but felt they needed to possess the ball a little bit, especially when they got the lead.
And once again, the official catalog of the NPSL is Eurosport, the fabled soccer traders. 1-800-447-0750, the number to call for your Eurosport catalog. Especially with summer coming around, you want to get the outdoor gear, maybe the 6 studs, some molded cleats, the newest in soccer shorts. Henry Gutierrez, number 4 scorer in this year's playoffs, came into the action with 26 points.
Well, you mentioned Gutierrez having an outstanding postseason. Only had 7 points last season in the playoffs in 6 games. But you mentioned close to 30 points in the first 8 playoff games here this year.
This is Jeff Rogers. 2 game-winning goals in postseason play for Rogers. That is tops among all these guys. Gutierrez, Marinero, doing most of his work from just outside of the defensive third. Dragicevic on an overlap, ran into Phillips again. Great decisions are being made by Brett Phillips in this game. And the counterattack, the race, everybody's after this one, and the ball bounces to a crunch foot.
Now we have a Cleveland player down. I can't see. I believe that may be Schweitzer.
For the NPSL summer camps, they're going on all over the place in NPSL cities near you. Dial up 330-455-4625.
Let's see if we can see what happened here. Salgado and Orff going for the initial challenge, and it was Schweitzer's own goalie, Otto Orff, that seemed to step on his ankle, and Schweitzer is still down behind the play. Let's take another look.
Well, Manny Economos, the crunch trainer, is looking at Schweitzer. Will slip out. NPSL finals, get out the pad and write it down. This is when you can see it on the deuce. 2 games, games 3 and 4 coming up from Cleveland. And if the game and the series gets pushed further, back to Kansas City, then Cleveland, then KC.
Well, what are you saying? You think Kansas City's going to win it in 4 straight? I look for this one to go 6 and possibly the full 7 games.
I didn't say that, but right now they have the opportunity to do that. Tim Team on his way to go play the boards. Tipped by Todd Desosky. The crunch goes ahead 11-10.
Well, Tima using all of his playoff experience there with a nifty little pass off the wall. A beautiful pass by Tima to set up this goal. Once again, Tima draws the defenders to him. And a great ball to Desosky. And that's one of those role players for Cleveland. Desosky getting his first goal in this playoff series.
First playoff point for the old vet, Tim Tima. 13-year veteran. Won a few championships with the Canton Invaders. Cognac, Carbonera, now Desosky. He's in a tangle along the near boards. A frozen puck guard. They're going to have a drop ball.
And that last goal, the oldest player on the field, Tima, putting it to the youngest player, Desosky.
Farrell just missed wide. DeChantre on it over on the far side. Hanser stepped in. He's got great pace to his game, the long strides. Will play it into the corner. Miller and Limniadis. Limniadis has been strong all game. Tima early ball for Desaski. Desaski back now as Glenn Carbonera has moved a bit upfield. Now they'll switch things up. Gotta wait for the changes.
John Ball started in game 1 for Cleveland. And then they brought Timo on here in game 2 for more experience. But I know what Bruce Miller was thinking. He wanted to try to match up speed-wise with Kansas City. Felt Ball gave him a little bit more pace than Tima does. But Tima, with all those years of experience, he's got 4 championship rings. And that's why he's in here in game 2.
Tima, a 3-time defender of the year in this league.
Won 3 championships in Canton and then won another one with Cleveland.
Gutierrez. Marked by Hauser. Got a shot off. That almost hit Phillips in the back and went in. That happens quite often in indoor soccer. Where a goalie will make a stop and just the carom of the ball will hit him in the back from the rebound. Good move by Wade. Gains some space. He's coming forward. 3-pointer. Otto got a piece of that one. Got it up and over the bar, and Schweitzer nipped it ahead. 3-on-2 for the Crunch. Kansas City trying to get back. A weak pass for Marinero. Broken up easily. Nice touch from Tima. And it's over and back. Nobody to help him.
Well, Tima either thought Orff was going to come out or Schweitzer was going to slide over, and it's an over and back.
NHL tonight. Hockey show for hockey fans. Today's highlights and news in the NHL as well as special features. Wes Wade for the restart. Whistled it wide. Salgado carries on. And here is Wes Wade playing in his 97th consecutive game. It's a little amazing when you think about how hard Wes Wade plays.
Well, we mentioned Tima's championships. Wade is another guy who won 4 championships in San Diego with the Sockers.
Here's Tanner Marinero. It's blocked by Ed Carmine, and Hector cannot believe it.
Well, we saw Wade take one off the line earlier in the game, and this time it was Carmine.
The left foot by Ketters. He shot it wide left, and he is like a magnet to the ball. Schweitzer. Wade marking Marinero. Gutierrez. The Crunch slow it down. They lead 11-10. They had a 5-3 lead. Wade tried to catch Orff out of position again.
And keep in mind, once again, Kansas City's 4th game in 5 nights going back through the St. Louis series. Coach Savick told me after game 1 he didn't feel that would affect his team at all. He said, we're extremely fit.
Give and go. Miller on it. Marked by Limniadis. Walked around him in traffic. Phillips again.
Well, Phillips with 17 saves in the first half, coming up with a few more here in the second. Actually, that was Carmine that made us stop there, but
here's the restart. Dragicevic had it blocked up and out. They're going to get another one and move it more toward the middle of the field.
Well, this is trouble for Kansas City. You see Eddie Carmine with his best season, but right now, Cleveland has capitalized numerous times during the regular season from this exact spot.
A goal from Dragicevic on the restart. Karich the assist, and the Crunch have opened a 3-point lead.
And watch again, a simple restart. It's Karich to Dragicevic, and that ball may have been deflected.
So the Crunch has opened up a tray lead. Dragicevic with his second of the finals.
Shootout, the official magazine of the NPSL, is packed with information on America's premier indoor soccer league. Photos of your favorite players, league records, and statistics are all at your fingertips in Shootout. Send your check or money order for $5, which includes shipping and handling, to NPSL Properties, 229 3rd Street Northwest, Canton, Ohio, 44702. And get your collector's copy of the limited special playoff edition that previews all 8 playoff teams. Order your copy of Shootout magazine today.
I don't see them. I think we're safe.
Of course we're safe. We're in my Subaru Outback.
I know the world's first sport utility wagon.
This beauty's got dual airbags, full-time all-wheel drive. It's more stable in the turn than a Blazer.
What else you got?
Get a braking on an Explorer. That's my Subaru Outback. World's first sport utility wagon.
Oscar Dragicevic had a restart goal in game 1. He gets one here.
Well, that's the second restart goal for Cleveland on the afternoon. Marinero with the first one, and now Dragicevic. And that gives Cleveland a 3-point lead.
They led 5-3 early on in this game. Hunyak tried to get a left footer off. Carbonero was with him step for step. Otto has been a little less busy than he was in game 1. The steal by Wade springs a 3-on-2. Rogers at the controls, got it to Wade, across in front. Tima sliding through, nipped it away, and an over and back will be called against Todd Dusaski. And quickly, KC will try to get the ball back in play. Wade coming forward. He's got Haynes on his right. 5 seconds. He took too long, and the ball will change.
Oh, but Wade wisely steps in front of that pass because Miller was open one-on-one down at the other end.
Hanser took it off the boards. Holes double team. Rogers nipping away. Re-racking for the crunch. Carbonera cut it hard. Played into Hanser. The one-touch pass. He's back on it. Farrell stepped in. He got tripped up behind the play. That's a foul against Cleveland.
But Cleveland with a 3-point lead. They had the lead 3 different times in game 1, but they could not hold Kansas City off. As it was a big 11-0 run in the third quarter that spurted Kansas City. Let's take another look. You see Hanser just clip Farrell. Jason's going to have to take a shift off.
All right, at this stage of the third quarter in game 1, Cleveland was looking at a big deficit. Kansas City started running away. Cleveland has the better of it on the scoreboard as we speak, and the game is much more in their control. Not that they have their hooks in it and it's their game, but it's not running away from them like it was in game 1.
Well, Tima has been outstanding defensively. Really has been a stabilizing influence here in game 2.
Third quarter scoring. See that? Kansas City 13-7 in game 1. Cleveland 4-0 in game 2. The series will shift to the Cleveland State University Convocation Center for games 3 and 4. Where Cleveland was superb all season. Here comes Casey Rogers, tried to get it to Ketters, and the crunch at the defense.
You mentioned Cleveland at home at 16-4 during the regular season. Kansas City was 17-3 in this building. Milwaukee with the best home record at 18-2. Things down here. 3-point lead.
Forcing Kansas City to come out and pressure Gutierrez. Now, he's only in his second year in indoor, and he's learned to play the corners and the angles so well. Dragicevic pulling forward. Toe poke. Phillips came out the volley. Marinero knocked it in the seats. Almost took out a fan. Hector looking for his 4th of the night.
Well, if Kansas City can come back to win this one, they need to give a lot of credit to Brett Phillips. And watch another fine save, that time on Dragicevic. And he's keeping Kansas City in this game at this point.
Phillips pretty much, oh, there's a great ball, and Salgado got a head on it, but not the way he would have liked. Phillips looking for an assist there. But Brett Phillips is a good stand-up goalie. He holds his ground, comes out, charges the ball, and has made great decisions all night. Hauser, Salgado, he's got Farrell breaking on the right side, but plays Hunyak against Tima. The pass from Hunyak just over the head of the flying striker. Tanner in a crowd. Having a meeting over there. Salgado is fouled, and Casey will get a restart.
Well, I played with Eloy in Tulsa back in '91. That's his favorite play. Get along the boards and draw the foul.
They'll leave it for Hunyak. Chips it. Farrell has to take it off the boards. Played it deep in the corner. Gutierrez early. Marinero ran into Limniadis. Almost stole one. Final 5 minutes of the third quarter. The Crunch has scored the only points of this 15 minutes. Tashantra tried to dummy there. Otto stayed with it. Here's Hunyak. He drives and he scores! Goran Hunyak is 13-12.
And I believe Otto's just getting a little bit worn out back there. He faced a lot of shots in game one, and he just didn't have enough to keep that one from Hunyak out.
A hat trick for Goran Hunyak. The attack within one. There's a 13-12 lead for Cleveland, but Goran Hunyak's hat trick has gotten them back to within 1 point. 3 goals tonight, 6 points. He had a goal and an assist in game one. 124 points during the regular season. Hunyak will play for the Tampa Bay Mutiny and the MLS when this series is finished. Dewan Bader on for his first shift for Cleveland. It gets looped to the near side. Hands are after it.
Well, momentum, as we always say, such a big key in indoor soccer.
Over and back called against Kansas City. The Crunch will have a restart. Here comes Zoran Karic.
Cleveland would love a restart goal here to break some of that momentum that Kansas City just gained with that Hunyak goal.
Marinero, Karic, the left footer. He curled it wide. Dragicevic tried to volley it, got under it, and it's in the seats.
And Karic, you see there, really hurting. He's pushing himself over to the left side of the field. Take those restarts with his left foot. You see tonight's points leaders. No surprise, Marinero and Hunyak. 2 of the top 5 scorers during the regular season.
Cleveland went 31-9 during the regular season. They beat the Buffalo Blizzard 2-1 in the American Division semifinals before taking the Baltimore Spirit 3-1 in the finals of the American Division. For Kansas City, they swept Wichita in the best of 3 and had a war with the St. Louis Ambush, and that went the full 5. With Kansas City prevailing. This is Haynes against Carbonera. Glenn has played a strong game, and he's got an injury he's nursing. Sprained arch, a foul call. Jeff Rogers has had a rough evening. Minor Soccer Leagues of America. You or your team want to get in on this? 330-455-4625. New league being started. Get the info. Wade on his way to goal.
You mentioned that St. Louis-Kansas City series.
Quick restart. Carmine shot it wide after his own rebound. Rogers in a fight. Got it to Carmine. Shot it wide. The ball free.
Getting back to that series, it was such a physical series, and the reason being, St. Louis's forwards are very physical players. Guys like Moser and Maurer and Kuntz. A lot different look here with this Cleveland team. You've got a lot smaller forwards on Cleveland's side. Gutierrez and Miller. Take another look at the save by Otto Orff.
Kansas City.
And talked about the St. Louis series being physical. Cleveland's starting to get physical as well.
Quick restart. Farrell against Carbonera. Dance it out high. Tima and Lofton. Tima taken down. The foul called. Lofton taken down by Tima. Tim got a misconduct penalty for a reaction on the foul in game 1, trying to keep things in check.
Made sure he kept his hands to his side on that one.
Well, you know, you talked about that series.
Look at the shots on goal. Cleveland, which led the league all year in shots.
That was a 3-pointer from Farrell that Otto had to move quickly to get. But you mentioned a little bit about St. Louis, Kansas City. You know, it's almost liberating and an enjoyment for Kansas City to be able to play in a series like this where they're not constantly banging. They can do a little run and then play into the game.
Exactly. Their skill can really come out more so against Cleveland than it could against St. Louis.
Hunyuk with Dragicevic over to cut him off. And a foul called against Oscar, gives up another free kick. But Dragicevic had to make a decision.
It's about the 4th or 5th foul in the last 2 minutes.
Ketters. He had 3 guys diving. Limniana's three-pointer missed it wide. Ketters back on it with the left foot. He missed the frame.
Ketters showing some good skill. He's going to be playing outdoor soccer with Kansas City in the Major League of Soccer when this series ends.
Ketters had 3 goals, 2 assists for 8 points in game 1. He hasn't been striking the ball on goal here in game 2 and hasn't had all that many opportunities. Tanner's right, but he scores! Tommy Tanner from Hector Marinero. The Crunch back up by 3 at 15-12.
Well, Tommy Tanner, the man they call Tatanka in Cleveland, hits a rocket right over Phillips's head. And a nice first touch by Tanner to set himself.
The Crunch up 3 late in the 3rd quarter. Game 3 of the finals will be seen on the Deuce on April 24th. It's at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time kickoff. This will be from the Cleveland State University Convocation Center.
Get permission from your parents to stay up for that one.
Cleveland hoping to go back home even at 1 apiece, and obviously Kansas City, after winning the first game, want to keep that home field advantage intact. DeChantret, Wade ran into Dragicevic. Carmine stepped in. Early ball from Schweitzer, read by Wade. DeChantret on his way, left footer across, tipped in by Brian Haynes.
Well, a classic indoor soccer goal. DeChantret with the strike low and hard to the far post, and Haynes positioned perfectly. But look at the low strike by DeChantret to the far post.
14:05, the time of the goal. We're back to a 1-point game as Brian Haynes ups his point total to 5 this evening, giving him 30 for the playoffs. He'll score a lot of goals posting at the back stick.
Well, DeChantret's a guy that grew up in the New York area. I'm sure he learned a lot of his tricks from Steve Zungel, a master of getting to the far post.
Wade tried to play Lofton in the Crunch defense, able to answer that. Crunch under pressure, got it back to Orff. They'll play long. Hands are cut off by Carmine. Carmine stood him up to Sasky on it. A goal. He thought Hanser was going to be along the boards. He wasn't. Glenn Carbonero won a championship with San Diego. Art told you about Wes Wade winning a few championships in San Diego. Those two were teammates. The give and go. Miller. Phillips answered again.
Good job by Miller on the give and go.
3 quarters. History. And it's a 1-point lead for Cleveland as we go to the final 15 minutes. Watch this goal by Haynes. That brought him to 1. Back for the 4th quarter. Game 2 of the NPSL Finals. Cleveland and Kansas City. The save statistic continues to build.
Well, through 3 quarters, no question about it, the star of this game so far has been Brett Phillips in the nets for Kansas City, as he has been outstanding. Probably 6 or 7 saves, 1 against 1.
We're starting to see some of the Crunch attackers shake their heads.
Well, Cleveland this year in the playoffs is 5-3 and 5-0 when they lead after 3 quarters and 0-3 when they trail. So a good sign for the Crunch. Up 1 here going into the 4th. And there you see it.
Hauser and Farrell. Trying to see if Jason Farrell just has black tape or black socks on his shoes. It looks like he's wearing high tops down there the way it's taped up. Otto trying to keep his concentration at 29 wins during the regular season.
Once again, 4 games in 5 nights for Kansas City. It's going to be interesting to see how much they have left here in this 4th quarter. Cleveland should be the fresher team.
Miller, one of the guys that has felt the wrath of Fred Phillips. Team had tried to cut it around, knocked it into the seats. Coming up next, Extreme Bloopers 1995. Boy, you really have to screw up to get on Extreme Bloopers, huh?
That is some show.
Great tackle from Glenn Carbonara. You know, something that the crunch defenders have really played well. Mainly Oscar Dragicevic getting into the attack, but Carbonara stepped up and made some big plays. So has Tima. Here's a give and go. Hunyek missed it. He had an opening. Ketter shoots and scores! Kevin Ketters with the left foot. It's a 1-point lead for Kansas City.
Well, in game 1, it was Jeff Rogers that deflected one in at the far post from Ketters, and let's see if Rogers doesn't touch this one as well. You can't see it from that angle, but regardless, if it's Ketters or Rogers, Kansas City now has the lead. One more look. Couldn't tell from that one either.
Thought it hit the inside of the post. It's a 1-point lead. Jeff Rogers being congratulated. They're going to give it to Rogers from Ketters. I told you Rogers has 2 game-winning goals in the playoffs. It comes at 1:04, so Kansas City scored a goal with 55 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter and just 1:04 into the 4th.
And once again, the role players for Kansas City just paying off in a big way already in today's game. You've got Farrell. And you see game 3 coming up, Kansas City and Cleveland.
Game 3 coming from the CSU Convocation Center. Orff off of his line. Dragicevic tried to clear it. Marinero there to send it halfway up the field. Wade played in. The dummy run from Lofton. Gutierrez on it. Chased by Farrell. Schweitzer in a run with Wade. The 2 carry on at full speed. And Phillips will pick it up. Dragicevic. Lofton got inside of him, but Oscar was able to recover. Orff will play early. Gutierrez behind the defense. Tashantra got a piece of it. That's over and back. And Cleveland will have a restart.
And Lee arguing his point, but that was a good call that time by Terry Campbell, as Lee clearly headed that ball before his own yellow line.
Marinero curls it around, just missed getting it inside.
He almost bent that one in just a little too high. Should have got to make sure, if you're the man on the end of the wall, that your inside shoulder is over that back post. And that time, Lofton's outside shoulder, that wall wasn't set up properly.
Tanner holding off a mark, waiting for somebody to run off. Played the backboards. Marinero beaten to the ball by Tashantra. And Haynes came away. Gutierrez backtracked, got it in possession. Here comes Schweitzer, 3-pointer. Marinero in a crowd. Casey comes out on top there. Nice ball from Ketters. The composure in his own third. Plays for Tashantra, walked around Schweitzer. Here he comes. Lead Tashantra, played the boards. Otto took him down. Apparently didn't get him enough for the foul to be called. Lee tried to play it off the boards, and Otto read it. Here comes Dragicevic, tries a back heel. Gutierrez can't get around Hunyek.
Well, the tempo starting to pick up now.
Slide tackle from Schweitzer. Played early again. Gutierrez after it, and a foul called Let's watch it in the penalty area.
Here comes the Shantret one-on-one. Tries to play the ball around Otto off the boards. Let's see what Otto does. It looks like he was going for the ball. That ball just came back and went past the Shantret.
I think both guys had an equal opportunity to get to that one. Carriage on it. Chipped at the volley by Carbonera. He hit the bar. The official magazine of the NPSL is Shootout Magazine, and you can get your copy by sending $5 to NPSL Properties, 229 3rd Street Northwest, Canton, Ohio, 44702. Aerial confrontation there, last touched by first-year player Chris Hanser. Tim Tima, 13 years in the league. Tima actually a Cleveland native. Brother John played for the Chicago Sting. Wes Wade drilled it. That could have been trouble because Salgado was camping out at the back stick. Re-rack for Kansas City. Their 5th lead of the game. Tima stepped in front of Salgado, but his play out of the back broken up, and here comes Hunyek doing a little dance at the yellow line, laid in for Salgado. Strong on the ball with Tima nipping away. Got it for Hunyek. No give and go. Not this time. Tima got both feet on it. Wade stepped in to make the tackle. Carbonera had trouble hauling that one down, and Glenn's probably still thinking about that volley he hit moments ago on the restart.
Now Kansas City's going to back up. A little low-pressure defense, allow Cleveland to come.
Otto for Miller. Wade stepped inside of Doug, and the sure hands of Brett Phillips. Kansas City comes out with a victory here. You're going to see a mob scene around Brett Phillips. Ketters and Hanser. He's open again. Left it for a trailing Hunyek. Had an opening, shoots it just wide. Hunyek picked his way through some traffic.
Great creativity that time by Kansas City on the takeover.
And we'll take a break. 5 minutes gone, just about the 4th quarter. Advocate and Art Kramer back for Game 2 of the NPSL Finals. We're at Kemper Arena. Kansas City with 4 points to go up by a point. Right now.
Crowd's starting to get into it now, Ed. Stetson, something happening here on this restart.
Lofton, Hauser, he shot it in the seats.
They're going to rule that that ball was deflected by Tima, and Kansas City is going to have a corner kick. This time Hauser goes off the floor, and on comes Haynes with that left foot.
The 2 keepers have been outstanding. Phillips with more work to do. And he scores! Oh, baby, a 3-point lead for KC.
Well, that's all coaching right there, Ed. Zoran Savic sending Haynes on the floor, taking Hauser off. Who gets the goal? Brian Haynes with his right foot. And Haynes, who will be playing outdoors with the Dallas Burn when this series ends. Showing you he can score goals with both the right and the left.
Hat trick for Brian Haynes, 4th goal of the finals. Gives KC a 3-point lead, and I really admired the patience of Wes Wade. Earlier in the game, he got called for a 5-second violation, not putting the ball in play enough, but he had to wait for that run to develop. And when it did, he put it right on the spot. Haynes made no mistake. There's a tackle by Marinero. Now a race for the ball. 3-on-2 if the Crunch hurry. They play Tanner. Here he comes, left foot. Blocked at the defense as Phillips forced him offline again. Tanner came out of that run limping.
KC looking for the knockout here.
Lofton taken down by Dragicevic.
During the regular season, possibly 2 minutes, not here in the playoffs.
Wade chips for Ketters. He had to struggle to take that down. Gutierrez tries to get it upfield quickly. Cut off by Suga. 6-point run for Kansas City. They were down 15 to 12.
It was an 11-point run in game 1.
Ottawa will slow it down. Well, the Crunch, no need to panic here. There's a lot of time left, 9 minutes.
We said earlier, just want to hang around when you're on the road. Give yourself a chance.
Marinero turned it wide. Hands are on it. Dragicevic. Blocked. Dumped in by Hanser. He's taken down. The Crunch will get a restart.
It's important Cleveland's veteran players keep their composure here. They've got some young players out on the floor with them, and they're going to take the veterans' example.
Karic chips it. Knocked in by Gutierrez. Henry Gutierrez from Chris Hanser. It stops a 6-point run, and the Crunch within 1.
Well, the Crunch doing what they do best, scoring on restarts. You see Karic to Hanser and Gutierrez with the deflection at the far post. A great ball by Hanser, first time to spot Gutierrez, and then Henry positioned perfectly. And that's twice this half that the Crunch has come back to score immediately after Kansas City had.
Chris Hanser was the most valuable player of the Canadian National Soccer League with the St. Catherine Wolves last summer. He's a guy you're going to see a lot of. He just has a great body for the game of soccer. Smart player, not afraid to take chances.
Well, we've seen Kansas City's role players step up in these first 2 games, and now Cleveland getting a little production from Hanser. They got an earlier goal from Dasoski. And those guys are going to have to contribute if Cleveland wants to stay in this series.
Crunch in the later stages of this game, because Kansas City is dropping back, have sent one of their defenders overlapping into corners. They got to be aware that they have at least one guy back. That's last touched by Kansas City. And we've got baseball on the way. Wednesday night baseball. It's the first of 2, the Indians and the Yankees, Bell and Boggs, and then to the National League, Sosa and Gwynn as the Cubs take on the Padres at 10:30. The restart by Karic is blocked at the wall. Orff comes out to help, and I'll bang it right into the midst of Phillips, who goes long. Tima got his coconut on it. Hanser. Early for Tanner. Oh, he can't walk around Wade. Foul called against Chris Hanser. Jeff Rogers has spent a lot of time picking himself up off the turf tonight.
Rogers is a player that likes to buzz around. Good work rate off the ball, always trying to find the open spaces.
Tanner read that carom a little more quickly than Ketters did. Allowed the Crunch to gain possession. Kansas City now moving the pressure upfield a bit at the yellow line instead of the half line. Tanner wins that battle with Haynes. Play to Gutierrez. He's got Carbonera coming near side. Tried to feed Marinero. Wade played that well. Gutierrez stepped inside up to Shantret. Henry is a very confident player on the ball. Marinero checks 2. Got it in the air. Shields off Hauser. The spin. The shot is blocked. Tima stepped in and won it back. Carbonera across. Good ball movement for the Crunch here. They possessed for the last 30 seconds obstruction on Kansas City.
And I've really been impressed with the way Cleveland's kept their composure and also their defensive shape. I thought when they went down by 4 that they might lose some of that shape. As you see, extreme bloopers once again coming up next, the 1995 series.
Team on the volley got blocked by Hauser. Here comes the counter. Karic over. He got a piece of Shantret, but he carries on. Cut back almost off Karic into the goal. Kansas City leads this game by a point. It was a 6-0 run. Too late in the 3rd, into the 4th. Marinero beaten to the ball by Wade. Les Wade so quick. That's why he slips in and fills in so well defensively. Foul called against Dragicevic. Early ball, Salgado looking for runners. Oscar's going to have to hurry to keep it from an over and back. He got there, and it's knocked out. Ball goes to KC. Jason Farrell teeing it up off the board. Salgado just missed the rebound by Lofton. He couldn't bag one, and KC will re-rack. Hanser read that pass. Crunch get a good bounce here. Hanser 3-on-1 with help. The ball too far for Gutierrez to take to go, but he tracked it down in the corners, and Cleveland's attackers got caught in deep. Salgado. Oh, nice play by Otto. Composure in his own third. There's the steal by Ketters. Look out, trouble for the Crunch. Lofton score!
Well, Ed, one thing you learn very, very early in your youth soccer career is never dribble if you're the last man. And that time, Schweitzer got caught, last man, dribbling the ball. Look at the strip there by Ketters. Sets up a 3-on-0, and Kansas City makes him pay.
Lofton, that's Kevin Ketters. Lofton was the star of game one. So was that man, Kevin Ketters. He had 8 points. Ketters assisted his first point of the night. It's back to a 3-point lead for Kansas City. Doug Miller on the ball, turns Carmine, plays the boards, back on it, the ball is free, whacking away, taking some cracks at it, Tanner on it. Still on the ball, looking for an opening against Carmine, and Eddie's not giving him one. He'll go at him again, play the boards, Wade is there. Long ball, Hunyak with Cabanero, hooked him well, and a big stop by Orff. Oh, that was a sweet move by Hunyak. Getting an arm up to,
and now Kansas City turning up the defensive pressure in the attacking third.
There you saw him use that right arm to get past Glenn Carbonera.
And Otto is very frustrated with his defenders.
Still a lot of time, 4 minutes to go. It's a 3-point game. That can be made up in one shot.
By Otto.
Yeah.
We saw it earlier.
Played for Tima. There's another defender deep in front of goal. Phillips. In his path. A flying Henry Gutierrez took it down. Boy, the touch on that is unreal. Hanser had it clip off him a bit too harshly and knocked it out of play to Kansas City. They'll bring it back to the yellow line for the Crunch.
Well, when Otto had that ball in the last possession, you saw a good look at how Kansas City wants to force them down the boards, not allowing them to play the ball down the middle of the field to guys like Gutierrez and Marinero posting up.
Parrish will leave it for Marinero. Hector chipped it in. Gutierrez got up high, but not high enough.
And unfortunate for Cleveland because Carriage was coming right in behind that ball, and had Gutierrez not touched it, Zorin would have had a clean strike from about 5 yards out.
Jason Farrell on his way to goal. Watch this here. Schweitzer, to Shantred. He missed the target. Lee was so composed on that first touch, moving it off into space. Carriage with the head fake. Hauser is able to recover. Zorin lost the ball and is yelling at Terry Campbell. Here come the attack with numbers again. Schweitzer. Crunch getting the ball caught in their legs a lot, and bad spots there at the yellow line and making some giveaway.
Well, Kansas City's putting great pressure on in the attacking third. Cleveland's defenders need to play that early ball out of the back to spring the counter. But you can't play that early ball if you don't make a good first touch. And their first touch is letting them down in the back.
Dragicevic stepped in to make a big tackle there. Marinero taken down by Hauser. The whistle blows. We're down to 2.5 to play.
2.5 and a restart just outside the arc. This might be a good opportunity to let one fly. Either Marinero or Carriage.
They chip in. Tanner hit the post. Phillips went post to post to apply some pressure. Great ball from Zoran Karic. He makes the steal and comes forward, but Kansas City has 4 guys back. Here is Karic catching up to it at the yellow line. He walked around Lofton and the foul called.
And here's the restart. Karic over the top, and Tanner just heads one. Phillips may have got a piece of it.
It's in three-point land. Here comes Orff. He missed it wide this time. Marinero on the volley. And Phillips there. They're going to go long range. Can Otto catch up to it? It's off target.
Phillips just doesn't possess the arm strength to beat Otto down the floor. And Otto's going to take a timeout. Cleveland's going to bring on the 6th attacker here with 2:02 left in the 4th. Bruce Miller going to try to organize his troops, trying to even this series at 1 apiece.
Zoran Savic trying to hold this lead to go up 2-0 in the series. Will it happen? We'll find out. Zoran Savic with Jim Schwab, his injured defender, behind him. Won game 1 in a runaway. They're going to have to work a little harder to collect game 2. 6th attacker soccer for the Crunch. Hector Marinero wearing the jersey.
And Hector possesses a lethal shot, as we all know. Watch him setting up the three-pointer.
Dragicevic, Karic, Doug Miller, Tommy Tanner, Henry Gutierrez, and Marinero on for the Crunch. Look out, there's a steal. The Shantred moving on in with Gutierrez. Lee possesses that slipperiness along the boards. Wade in a race. He got it across. Ketters. He had trouble with that spinning ball.
Just trying to hold the ball along the boards and run some clock.
Play on, says Gary Huber. Marinero came away.
And now Hector looking to push it a little bit.
The Crunch really making some bad passes in critical situations. This could be it. Cognac follows up. Start the bus.
Watch the ball to Shantrat. Take one hop and then off the back glass. And the scoring machine, Goran Hunyak, comes through, I believe, with his 4th goal of the game. So Lofton in game 1 with 5 goals, and now it's Hunyak with 4 here this evening.
We saw Kansas City's version of Dancing Guy as the Kansas City attack celebrates. 5-point lead. Miller drilled one at Phillips. The ball free. The Crunch sloppy with their passes, moving up the floor.
Well, Cleveland's streak of 5 straight wins when they lead after 3 quarters is going to go down the tubes here. They had a 16-15 lead coming into the 4th, but Kansas City running away with it here.
5 points is the difference. Miller tried to get it in front. Gutierrez carries on. 26 seconds. Marinero for 3-point land. It's cleared by Ed Carmine, who is flat on his back. Haynes in the corner. The composure from the attack. 12 seconds separates them from a 2-0 lead, and they will keep home field advantage through the first 2.
To try to nurse that injured right knee, and Otto Orff with some well-needed rest as well. You can bet they'll be coming out flying at the Convocation Center. The only team to rally from a 2-0 deficit to win was Detroit back in '92.
And that was a 5-game, the best of 5. This is a best of 7. So Detroit had to come back 3 straight there. Give the attack a whole lot of credit. Their 4th game in 5 days. They came out and ran with the Crunch in game 1. kind of pulled it back in game 2. The final score, 22-17. Coming up next, Extreme Bloopers 95 for Art Kramer. Ahmed Vasinik saying, so long, we'll see you in Cleveland.
Come on. Guys, give him a hand. Hey, guys, come in.